under the system of white supremacy, when the white supremacists give you a lot of words, you have a tendency to use them. You know, if these words are in your head, you most likely will use the words that are in your head. It's a difficult thing to avoid. But actually, I use too many words to say the same thing. And somebody had to point that out to me years ago, way before I started writing the code book. Somebody pointed it out to me. They said, because, you know, going to school and all like that, you learn to use, they say, increasing your vocabulary. Well, yes, that works so that you understand people when they say things, but actually, the best languages are the languages that say everything in a few words. All right? So we might have to just look at the English language or Swahili or whatever and try to cut down on the number of words and say the same thing and say it better. Something that it would take 15 pages to say, like a person demonstrated to me could be done, you can say it in 2 paragraphs. All right? That was actually done to me, or done with me, or done in support of what I was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized it. It was pointed out. Say, sometimes you can say in 2 paragraphs everything that you say in 15 pages of small print. And you can say it in 2 paragraphs in bold print.
More with less.
I wish I could write like that.
Yeah.
As a non-white male,
yes,
whatever you choose to say is a fault of any non-white female, also be willing to say that her fault is your failure. I'm going to say that again. If you're a non-white male and you're talking to a non-white female and you're willing to say that she has a fault of any kind, also you should be willing to say that her fault is your failure, because that's the truth. The non-white male was strutting around, acting like he was boss over something, knew everything, knew how to handle every situation before the beginning of white supremacy, according to history records of what I've been told, either true or false. But if he was doing that, the white supremacists took him and his non-white female.
Mm-hmm.
All right? That black male that said, "This is my woman," the white supremacist said, "That's not your woman anymore. That's my woman. That's my female." All right? And you are my male. And both of you are my slaves. All right? So you no longer have any authority over anything. So right from the beginning, the black male, who was supposed to be the protector, pounding himself on the chest, walking around with his chest stuck out and flexing his muscles, once he became in captivity himself, that was the failure of the black female. That was his failure, all right? Since that was his job, he said, he didn't do it. So he failed at that job and has failed ever since, okay? So whatever failures and faults she has, they're his. Your failure to do what needs to be done to replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. And that's every black male right now in 2018. Anytime you start criticizing a black female for anything, wait a minute. You were supposed to see to it that she wasn't in the situation that you're in, that she's in, because you're not supposed to be in the situation that you're in.
Exactly.
You are subject to the system of white supremacy. Now, how did you get to be that way with your all-knowing self? How did you become subject to an alien power if you were doing your job? You weren't doing your job. You were too busy strutting around bragging about knowing everything. And according to compensatory counter-racist logic, it is correct to say that the faults and the failures of non-white people, particularly non-white males, are the direct or indirect result of their not thinking, speaking, and acting effectively to replace the system of racism with the system of justice. Our failure, Neely Fuller's failure, to do his job, he's not doing it now, all right? So any criticism that I might have of the black female, that's because of me. Why? Because I failed to do anything about a system that came dominant over me and destructive of me and everything I'm connected with. And that is the system of white supremacy. I wasn't on guard against that. We are boys. I mean, my manhood left with the system of white supremacy stepped in the door.
Wow.
I no longer was a man, if I was one in the beginning, because I didn't know what to do about that system that came in, kicking in the door, all right, and made, if I was a man, it made a boy out of me, and I've been a boy ever since. And I will remain a boy until I replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. Neely Fuller and every other black male who is truthful, we got to swallow that. Don't never run away from the truth. Grab it. Embrace it. A code is nothing but a way of going about doing things that you get the best possible result. That's all a code is. A wasp has a code. Sometimes I watch insects and whatnot. They go about, they have a routine. And why do they keep doing this routine? Because it's successful. See, an ant will not keep trying to do something that doesn't work, okay? But black people have been trained by the white supremacists to always do everything that doesn't work, all right, until the white supremacists come around and makes it work.